So I was pleasantly surprised to get to see The Companion on Tuesday, a little bit early, got to go to an early showing, and I was very pleasantly surprised. I mean, I was looking forward to this movie for a while. I thought it looked good. It seemed like it was something that was up my alley, that kind of genre piece. But the one thing that I had to note was that I'm very disappointed and let down by the marketing. I feel like when the first trailer came out, it was extremely strong and you had no idea what the hell was happening at all. It set up the mood, kind of what it was. You could tell that there were some thematic elements of relationship problems in it, but like you had no idea what was going on, just her holding her arm over the fire. But then get into the second trailer and it completely fucking reveals everything about the movie. Like, and the thing is too, when the movie begins, it's not like it sets up this ultimate premise. I'm gonna go into spoilers, by the way, but we should not have gone into this movie knowing that she was a robot. That feels like such an oversight to reveal that in the trailers, and I really think it was a big fucking mistake. I don't really know who else you're gonna win over by just spoiling the movie, basically, because it's not like when you go into this movie, in the beginning you know automatically. That's where I would try to judge whether something should be revealed or not in the trailer. Does the basic premise of the movie, does the movie open up with you knowing these things, or are they reveals that happen later in the movie and make more sense in retrospect? But the thing is, since I knew that she was a robot, going in, I kind of picked up on all of the subtleties that were set up to be like, oh, an aha moment later on, or on a second watch, like, oh, that's why she said that. That's why he said that. That's why they did that. You know, the beginning of the movie, I assumed it was fake because I knew that she was a robot, not real. There were subtleties that I picked up on that I probably wouldn't have if I watched the movie not knowing that she was a robot. Like when they're going into the house, he says, "You can't lie to me." The weather thing, when he tells her to go to sleep. Those are all played as things that, you know, are subtly supposed to be the breadcrumbs that lead you to the later reveal of the movie. And the thing is, her turning out to be a robot is treated as a reveal in and of itself. And you don't do that if you were meant to spoil it in the marketing. It makes no sense to me on any level why you would do that if you were trying to conceal it. And this goes into a bigger problem that I have with horror movie trailers today. They fucking spoil everything. They show you everything. I genuinely just hate horror movie trailers nowadays because if I'm sold, I want to see it and I don't want to know anything about it other than maybe a basic premise, just enough to get me excited. And I think what was so good about that first trailer to Companion was that you get the basic feeling for the movie, you know the stars, but what I liked about it is that it removes all context, which would have been so interesting and would have made for great twists and turns if you were just watching it and tracking along with the movie, not knowing what was actually going on. I don't really remember the trailers in Get Out, but I remember them being pretty cryptic, I think. And I remember going along with the movie and just being so fascinated by the twists and turns it takes throughout it, and then that ultimate reveal, making for an entirely different watch the second time. That would be like Get Out having a trailer that literally says, yeah, this white family abducts black people and puts their brains in their heads. Like, why the hell would you show that in a trailer? But Companion basically did the equivalent of that because it shows what is actually going on. And yeah, that ultimate reveal in Get Out is pretty much a good amount later in the movie, and Companion has it a bit early on, but it still just pretty much devalues the beginning act of the movie. Because when the movie's built on this intrigue of what's really going on, but you actually just know where it's going, what that reveal is going to be, there really was no point in setting up that intrigue, in having these subtle Easter eggs. And a second viewing is always going to be very different from a first viewing with a movie like this, but it kind of takes the fun out of having that initial viewing. Like, some movies just should be built on these twists and turns. This is definitely one of them. And like I said, when the movie treats these things as reveals, it makes you question why they would show them. And I'd heard before that you should avoid trailers for this movie, but just sometimes when you go to the theater and you're locked in and they're playing trailers for the movies, it's just a little bit too late. Like, there's nothing you could really do. I almost want to just stand outside the theater nowadays so that I don't have to see these trailers. I don't want to see anything else. I feel like I would just have such a better, more holistic experience if I avoided these things. I want to be surprised. I want to be excited. I feel like Longlegs was one of the only movies where I had that experience where I just didn't know anything, went in completely cold, and was able to just be surprised by everything. And it's because that movie kind of just came out of nowhere. Very different, though, from Osgood Perkins' next movie, The Monkey, which also had just a spoiler-filled trailer. I genuinely don't know why they choose to do things like this. I've heard before Jason Blum talk about this, that, they show the whole movie in a trailer because their studies and metrics show that it makes people more enticed to go see the movie. But I really think that overall, long term, they would have such better results if they actually let people just experience these movies without having to deal with this. It's frustrating. People don't like it. And I can't help but feel like I was robbed a bit of an experience when Companion was very much an extremely solid movie, and I think that it would have blown me away even more if I hadn't seen that trailer. That's kind of some of the fun of Scream Unseen, is that you could just go in blind, you don't know what the movie is, and you just let it play. And I was excited, obviously, that it was Companion, but at the same time I was like, well, no, I know what's gonna happen. So it doesn't take away from the quality of the movie itself. It's still a very solid movie, gives me very much Ready or Not vibes. It really strikes that balance of horror and comedy very well. But I think that it could have been a more interesting first viewing. And the thing is, I don't really feel like I'm gonna have a desire to go back and rewatch it, because I ultimately know what the twist was, where it was heading. I don't see any value really, because my second viewing will probably be exactly the same as the first viewing. Did I know exactly what was going to happen or the exact chain of events? Not really, but I feel like what they were going for with this ultimate payoff, this ultimate reveal, the wind was taken very much out of the sails in that respect. Did it destroy my experience with the movie? No. I would say it's probably my favorite movie that I've seen this year so far, and I'd speak very highly of it. But for the love of God, I would not recommend that trailer to anybody, and if anybody is in a theater and they start to see that trailer play, I would recommend them to get the hell out of there immediately. I almost made it too. I actually, I think it was the Peter Pan's Neverland Nightmare showing, and it wasn't just that. It was The Monkey, it was The Wolfman. I got like every horror movie trailer that was spoilerific right before that movie, unfortunately, but that's how it goes. That's how horror trailers are made today. And it kind of brings me back to the discourse surrounding the Pet Sematary remake trailer, how they had that ultimate twist of the kids' sides being switched, who gets killed, who's brought back. It kind of gives me vibes of that, where it's like, I really don't know why you would reveal that. You have the people sold on this movie already, and I don't think you needed to spoil it. In fact, I think it really would have enhanced the experience if they did keep that a hidden secret. I just hate the way that horror movie trailers are made today. I just want to avoid them at all costs. I feel like 28 Years Later was one of the few that actually struck that balance of intrigue but not showing too much. And I think that most of it comes down to, you should kind of show the feeling, the tone of the movie, but basically remove all context of the scenes that you are showing. I don't think that anything should be shown past the first 30 minutes of a movie. I think in cases of movies where you pretty much have everybody sold, like in terms of a remake or a sequel, if you have the people on board, just show them a little bit. You have them sold. I get that Companion's a little bit of a harder sell because it's a completely original concept, but I think that if there's an intriguing movie and the chatter is that you won't believe what happens in this movie, then it would sell better. Honestly, that's my opinion. I think that an original concept where people don't know from the trailer what's happening and people are coming out of the movie saying, oh my god, I wasn't expecting this. This movie is insane. I feel like that was the chatter surrounding Get Out. But with Companion, I feel like a lot of it is about how they just spoiled the fuck out of the movie in the trailer. And it might honestly, in the long run, decrease its box office and kind of hurt it, despite, I assume, them in an attempt to bolster the box office, showing what the movie's all about. Just overall a big mistake. I really think there are some movies where I just wish I didn't see anything, but that isn't the world we live in, especially if you're online. It's basically fucking impossible to stay away from spoilers. But let me know what you guys think in the comment section. I'd love to hear your thoughts on this. Did the marketing ruin Companion for you or any other horror movies? Love to hear. I'm GM Light. Have a good one.